Inspired talks of Swami Vivekananda, Pranam Mantra. Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suray Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swamine Tapaharine. So, the discussion is on what Swamiji said on the second last day of his stay there. And we are in the last portion. This is very, very, very important and interesting topic on which Swamiji is discussing. It's about saving and serving religion. Religion not as in, say, Hindu, Islam, Christianity, etc. Religion. Because when it comes to certain basic things about religion, somewhere, they all talk the same thing. First most important thing is every religion, if it's religion, will say that God is more real than this world. This world, depending on what religion you are following, what religion you are studying, different religion may describe world and God differently. However, every religion will say that God is more real than this world and God alone is permanent. Secondly, just a second. Second, every religion will tell you that death is not the end of everything. It's ingrained in us. The way we have been brought up, the way we have grown up, we feel as if death is the end of our existence. Every religion will tell you that death is not the end of your existence. And that's why acts of suicide is condemned in every religion. Now, if you have these two fundamental things, God is real, world is far less real than that. And so we'll say world is not at all real. And secondly, you continue to live. According to Hindu religion, you will be born again and again till you attain mukti, perfection. According to Islam and Christianity, you will attain the nearness of God. According to Advaita Vedanta, you will become one with consciousness. The idea being, your existence never gets annihilated. Once you realize this, your existence never gets annihilated. Things change for you. Now, dear listeners, let me be honest. Do we really believe in these things? Well, ask me. Do I really believe in what we have been discussing? I'll say no. There are really moments when I believe that I'll continue to exist. But there are also moments when worldly things take over. Why? Naturally, someone will say that you lack conviction. No, I don't lack conviction. Because when I am in that mode of conviction, when the question of conviction, non-conviction comes, I'm definitely convinced. The problem is, unless you have realized God, or unless you have been in real touch with somebody who has known God, it's very difficult to have 100% conviction. Now, there are people, that those who turn fanatics, they're more of mental cases. Now, we cannot discuss them. And there are people who have convictions in higher values. The problem is your conviction in higher values when things are going good is something. And there are people who have conviction when things are going very bad. But at times, when you are in between, conviction will not be smooth. And that's a fact. Now let us see what Swamiji is saying on this topic. Because see, I often come across devotees who will keep on watching about their devotion, they're talking about their commitment to Thakur or commitment to religion, but it's not easy. And nowadays in India, you find people doing strange things in the name of religion. Neither they have conviction of purpose, nor they have conviction in the name of God, nor have they studied their scriptures. I mean, pathetic plight. So he says, Swami says, let a few stand out and live for God alone and save religion for the world. Because of our YouTube channel, I'm able to get some views from the society because as a monk we live such secluded life. Our life is kind of confined within the boundaries. We don't even know what's going on in the world. And because of these talks and the negative comments that we get, we realize what kind of thought process is going on. And now, because of social media, we are also able to see how people express themselves when it comes to certain things. And it's horrifying. People criticize religion without understanding anything of religion. When people criticize, say, Hindu religion because of its rituals and some meaningless acts, they forget that this is not the whole of Hindu religion. Because when you praise Einstein, say, let's say, because Einstein is more or less universally accepted genius, when you praise Einstein, do you look at the days when he had, say, dysentery, or he had cough, or he had sneezing? Do you? You don't. Do you criticize Einstein because he had a weak stomach? No, I don't know if he had a weak stomach. I'm just telling. And being a Jew, he must be taking beef. Will a Hindu criticize Einstein simply because he used to eat beef? Or Einstein had extramarital relations, and quite a few of them. Will Einstein be criticized for those things? No. Einstein is Einstein. Just like that. Hindu religion is Hindu religion. Great. And because Hindu religion is great, so other religions are also great by themselves. For not only for their followers, indeed, some of the elements are so great. Otherwise, the religion wouldn't have survived. There's a strange law of nature that nature preserves the seed. It converts the seed into a tree. And the chaff or the peel that covers the seed, nature consumes it. Not only consumes it, it makes use of it. For example, you plant a mango, you put a mango, say, inside it. This is possible only in India because overseas it may not work. Here in India, you put the pulp and the skin covering the seed. They will rot and they will become food for the seed. And from that seed will come out a plant, a sapling and then a plant. And the seed will continue to live. This is strange, absolutely strange thing about nature. Nature never permits chaff to grow. Nature only allows seed to grow. Goodness that is inside you, goodness that is inside the humanity, goodness that is there in any system continues to live. And that is what makes other things to live. If the seed is rotten, know for sure that the fruit will also get rotten in no time. What Swamiji says that save religion. Today only somebody had written something against Manusmriti, the favorite topic, and And the problem with these critics of Manusmriti is that they become abusive without realizing that with the kind of knowledge we have, if we want, we can be much more abusive. But we don't. We know that they're acting childish. And Manusmriti is criticized for this reason and that reason. And those who criticize, they have not read Manusmriti properly. And those who have studied it and yet criticize, it simply means they have some axe to grind. Simply. So I wrote that. Don't forget that whatever little respect you have as an Indian, whatever little respect you have as a Hindu is because of Manu. Otherwise, just look. Just look at India, what's happening in India in the last 100 years. How people are giving up their human approach. And how people are slowly becoming animal-like. Bhog, enjoyment is becoming the key word. And this is what Manu was against. If Manu succeeded in restraining the society from going all out for enjoyment, from becoming animal-like, it was his greatness. This is the problem. This is the problem. When people criticize, they don't understand the crux. And this is what every religion does. If you study any of the scriptures belonging to any religion, you will realize one simple thing, that each of these scriptures restrain you, completely restrain you from becoming animal-like. Look at any civilization, and you'll see that if it is truly a civilized race, not the big fish eating the small fish, see that at the core of its value system is religion, because religion alone teaches inclusiveness. Materialism only teaches you exclusiveness. Materialism, the capitalism, the idea of capitalism. See, socialism is a failed idea that does not matter with us. The important thing is that socialism at least taught inclusiveness. But capitalism, it's all about me first, me only, me alone. And others, they are to be exploited. Their labors are to be exploited. Their talents are to be exploited. And see, they say that India is the hub of today, of this and that. Hub of what? Tech coolies. Just tech coolies. Most Indians working in the IT sector, they're just helping some chosen Americans or Chinese to make money, nothing else. The brutal face of, absolutely the brutal face of capitalism. Because for these people, religion has absolutely no meaning. If they claim themselves to be a Christian or from whatever religion, it's just for the namesake, it's for their mileage. There's one American gentleman, he earned a lot, you know his name. And now he comes to India and does this and that work. So maybe trying to do some acts of penance. And people are, so naive. They think, oh, he's such a great person. He's doing so much for the poor. Nobody tells that how much he looted and continues to loot. Then Swamiji cautions, do not pretend to be like Janak when you are the progenitor of delusions. This is a beautiful sentence Swamiji says. Janak, as you might be knowing, he was a king and he was also an Atmagyani. He's extremely respected as a householder who had the knowledge of self, that is Atman. Now, there was a time in India where people leading the life of a householder would claim themselves to be like King Janak because King Janak was a king. That means he was living the life of a householder. So people have a tendency to say that, I am also like King Janak. Janak, the second meaning of Janak is one who gives birth. He says, you are progenitor of delusions. Janak was a self-realized person, but you are only giving birth to delusions. Sri Ramakrishna used to say beautifully that this fireflies night, you might have seen, particularly during these rainy seasons, there are lots of fireflies, and when they move around this little light, and a firefly started thinking that it was lighting up the world, and somebody pointed out, you are only making the darkness look thicker. Most people who talk of religion, most people who think that they are devotees, they are devoted, they are doing good to religion, actually they are all janak of delusions only. They won't understand it, they won't realize it, and they will get mad if you try to point these things at them. Personally, I never like to talk to these devotees because of the same reason. Just try telling them that you are completely wrong. You are not even following the basics of Hindu religion. Like Sri Ramakrishna comes much later. First, you have to be a Hindu. First, you have to be a very good Hindu. You have to be a practicing Hindu. You should be practicing Panch Mahayagya at least, and Shoda Sanskar, or at least 10 Sanskar. You have to cleanse yourself completely. You have to be established in Dharma. And then only Sri Ramakrishna is meant for you. Sri Ramakrishna is not meant for a common person. Upanishads are not meant for a common person. Gita is not meant for a common person. What I mean to say that the spiritual philosophy in these things. Now you just know one or two stories from here. You know the background story of, say, Gita. You know some stories from the Upanishads, and you think that you have known the spiritual philosophy. No, you have not. And putting those things into practice is truly a tall order. Be honest and say, I see the ideal, but I cannot yet approach it. I say in the beginning. It's very difficult. Believe me, it's very difficult. Once I was asked some 10 years ago by one of the interviewers how far I have progressed in spiritual life. I said, well, slowly I am gaining conviction that this is all true. And he was shocked. He said, 30 years as a monk. It was around 30 years in those days. And you say this. I said, I'm just stating a fact. Others are more lucky. If a monk who has given up everything, staying in the Ramakrishna mission for 30 years, and says that, well, I am slowly gaining conviction, it sounds such a waste of time. Maybe. But after all, we come from the world. Worldliness is within us. And because worldliness is within us, and cleansing them is really difficult. You go to a forest and you want to clean up a piece of land so that you can do farming. And you realize it's not that easy, because wild grass and wild flowers and wild trees and wild saplings, they will keep coming, they will keep cropping up. And you will have to keep uprooting them. It's not that easy. It's very easy to think. Actually, most people think that once they are into religious life, they can grow so easily. No, it's not that. If you look at the traditional spiritual history books of Indian traditions, that is Mahabharat, Puran, etc., you will see how even the great sages like Vishwamitra, he had fall every now and then. Sometimes you would fall for this, sometimes you would fall for that. Do you really think that I am greater than Vishwamitra? Can I say that I am greater than Vishwamitra? No, you cannot. No. Whenever the thought comes in your mind that you are becoming religious, you are doing something good, you are becoming good, just remind yourself of Vishwamitra and just see how many stumbles and how many falls he had. Did you have so many falls in spiritual life? Not yet. That means your spiritual journey is yet to begin. It's a very, very harsh thing to know. Nevertheless, this is a fact. So be honest and say, I see the ideal, but I yet cannot approach it. But do not pretend to give up when you do not. Continue your struggle. Don't give it up. If you give up, stand fast. That means you're losing the battle. You're losing the battle of achieving the highest. But stand fast. And Swamiji beautifully says, if 100 fall in the fight, seize the flag and carry it on. God is true for all that, no matter who fails. Dear listeners, dear listeners, you have to become a fighter for religion. Forget your mukti. Forget your salvation. Forget your desire to know God. First say that I will be a fighter. I will be a fighter, fighter for religion, fighter for God. What does it mean? It doesn't mean go kill somebody. It doesn't say that if you do not subscribe to my views, I'm going to annihilate you. I'm going to bomb you. No, not that. Be pure. Be 100% pure. Be completely pure. And you say that here I sacrifice my everything in the name of God. Here I sacrifice everything in the name of God. One thing I can tell you, it's not confession. It just is just a fact. That conviction, conviction that God is there and is looking after us is not that easy. No, it's not. Because Sri Ramakrishna used to say that a person who has complete faith in God is a Jivan Mukta. Anyone who says that he or she has complete faith in Sri Ramakrishna or in God is a Jivan Mukta person. Because then they will realize that every act that they are doing is being done by God Himself. That person will completely go beyond the sense of I, the idea of I. They will go beyond the sense of good and bad. Holding on to that conviction is not that easy. But that does not mean that we'll give up the fight. We'll continue to fight. We'll continue our fight to be pure. We'll continue our fight to surrender at the feet of the Lord. God is true for all that, no matter who fails. You may fail. You may fail to attain spiritual realization. But let that not make you think that God is not true. God is very much real. My favorite statement is, once I had coined this, if God is true, then nothing else matters. If God is not true, then nothing matters. If God is not true, then what matters? Nothing. If I die now, so much the better. Why live? It's all meaningless. And if God is really true, as every scripture says, then does anything matter? Does my life, does my death matter? Does any enjoyment really matter? That Kamini Kanchan, running after wealth, running after fame, running after women and for women, men, do these things matter? It's absolutely meaningless. Dear listeners, try thinking just these two lines. If God is true, then nothing else matters. If God is not true, then nothing matters. Just simple word, else goes away. I try to remind this to myself now and then, but then being a human mind tends to forget, it tends to ignore. Let him who falls hand on the flag to another to carry on can never fall. The banner of religion, the banner of spirituality must not fall. When we are talking about banner of religion, we don't mean Hindu religion or Christianity religion. We mean spirituality, pure spirituality. The flag that will say that God is true. God alone is true. Naturally, everything else is inane, meaningless. It can never fall. The flag of spirituality must not be allowed to fall. When I am washed and clean, why shall impurity be added on to me? Seek first the kingdom of heaven and let everything else go. Try to go for spirituality. To remind you, Swamiji and his team, that is his disciples, were to leave the next day. So Swamiji must be pouring his heart out as he had been doing for the last 6 weeks. He says, seek first the kingdom of heaven. That means go all out for spiritual realization and let everything else go. Do not want anything added into you. So whatever it be it wealth, be it money, be it wealth, be it fame, just don't let anything be added. Just say, I want this. Be only glad to get rid of it. See, the problem is that we being ordinary human beings, we belonging to this world, we need certain things. In Manu Smriti, we come across a beautiful verse where it says that you should be indulging in such religious acts that will cause pain in future. For example, you give away all your wealth, whatever you have, is stupidity because you need to live. God realization, self realization, all these things have to be done in this life, here in this world, through this body. And this body requires some care. You need to have wealth. You need to have healthy food. You need to have good sleep. This is where people make mistake. Very often people think that, well, you are a monk. What do you need money for? We need money. We also need to have a healthy body. We need to take medicines because body has to be kept fit. People will say, you are a monk, why should you fall ill? Monks are far more sensitive and that's why they tend to fall sick much more. The idea is, if you are becoming spiritual, that doesn't mean that you will throw away everything. You need things. Once I remember, uh, one of our brother monks, he's now very, very, very famous. So he joined at Devghar. I was principal in those days. And Swami Bhuteshanji Maharaj, by chance, had come to our Devghar center. And that's when he had come and joined. And I introduced him to Bhuteshan. I was principal, I introduced. And he was a young boy. He used to come to me, you know, during his student days. And now when Bhuteshanji heard and heard of his background, etc., he smilingly asked, have you kept your pen or have you thrown it away? So actually, there is a story about it that there was a monk from Belur Math, and he once decided to devote his life in tapasya, and he decided to go to the Himalayas. And he had read his specs, and he said, "I am not going to read ever again." And he threw his specs in Ganga. After 1 year or 2 years, his mind calmed down, and then he came back, and he had specs made again. So this young monk in those days, Brahmachari, he asked me, why did Maharaj ask me this? I said, because people think that I'm going to be a monk, so I'll throw away everything and nothing, not even pain. So I'm just telling you that the idea was that sometimes when you become a monk, when you take to the life of spirituality, you think that everything is thrown away. No, everything is not thrown away. You may throw away your pain because you have association from the past, but again, you will have to take a pen. You'll have to work here. You may do writing work. You may make notes, etc. So, And Swamiji says that be only glad to get rid of it. Simply means that you will need some basic things. Don't pay attention to those. Just don't go on acquiring more and more. Give up and know that success will follow, even if you never see it. Now, this is a very interesting thing. Once you say that, here I am devoted and dedicated to the cause of religion, and you say, nothing else matters for me, nothing, not even my own salvation, success will follow. Even if you never see, you may not see it in your own lifetime. Sri Ramakrishna never saw success in his own lifetime, not even Swami Vivekananda. How many monks were? See, we know that Swami Vivekananda used to give such lectures that the country was aroused, and there are young people who are talking about Swamiji's impact on freedom movement of India, and that so many people did that, so many people did that. How many people became monks listening to Swamiji? Very few. When Swami Vivekananda returned from America and England in 1897, he reached Colombo, came to Chennai, came all the way to Kolkata, and went up to Lahore and Almora, etc. And there's that famous book, Lectures from Colombo to Almora. You can see what lectures. Like for the Indians, that book is a must read. Lectures from Colombo to Almora. And how many people came and joined? 100 years from his going away, there are thousands. Ramakrishna mission is today far more successful than it was during the time of Swami Vivekananda. When you give yourself to the cause of religion, to the cause of God, success has to come today or tomorrow. Jesus left 12 fishermen, and yet those few blew up the Roman Empire. This is one of the wonderful statements from Swamiji. Like, those of you who might have read the book Ben-Hur, who might have seen the movie Ben-Hur, who might know the might of the Roman Empire. And Jesus himself was born under foreign dominion. And who were his disciples? Ordinary folk, some of them fishermen. And just see what happened. Roman Empire was blown up. Sri Ramakrishna and Swami Vivekananda were born under foreign dominion. British agents, British spy agents were after Swami Vivekananda. And much later, these spies were also keeping an eye on Belur Math and mother's home, because some of those revolutionaries used to visit Belur Math and mother's house. What happened to that empire? The empire in which sun never set, simply blown up within a few years. There's a very interesting conversation between a young person who later became a monk and Holy Mother Sri Sarada Devi. And the young person asks Holy Mother, Mother, will the fate of our people ever change? And Mother said, well, that's why Sri Ramakrishna had come. Just think of the plight of the Hindus for the last 1,500 years. It was such a bad plight. There were invaders coming from the northwest side, looting and plundering India. Not only looting and plundering, women folk became special targets of their brutality. It's all there in the history books. And their role continued for at least 1,000 years. And then came the British. One kind of brutality gave place to another kind of brutality. And then came Sri Ramakrishna. Seen from the worldly standpoint, he was an ordinary priest who couldn't even feed himself properly. He had a weak stomach and an extremely delicate constitution. Who were his disciples? Very ordinary young people. And what happened? It didn't last 50 years after that. Swamiji went away in 1902. By 1947, British had packed themselves up forever. And within a few years, the whole of British Empire collapsed. You just have to have faith in God. Just have to have faith in the goodness of religion. If you exploit, howsoever your might, if there is one person who has faith in spirituality, if one person who has faith in religion and God, know that he will blow up your empire. Gita puts it beautifully, Yathaidhangsi samiddognir bhasmasat kurte yatha. There might be a huge forest of food or stockpile of food. It needs just one spark to burn the entire thing into ashes. This is what religion does. This is what conviction in God does. Sacrifice on God's altar, earth's purest and best. Now you cannot be servant of God. You cannot be serving the cause of religion if your intentions are not pure, if you are not 100% pure. He who struggles is better than he who never attempts. Naturally. Even to look on one who has given up has a purifying effect. You see, in India, it has been a tradition if you meet a monk, if you meet a sadhu, you should go touch their feet because they have given up everything. We monks, we may not be sincere. Now, I may not be a sincere monk. I may not be sincere in the field of spirituality, but this is the fact that I've given up everything. Now, what Swamiji says, what Indian tradition says, that the moment you meet somebody who has given up everything, like sometimes we meet somebody, we meet people here and there, they say, see, these people are frauds. Now, this problem was earlier also. Monks have always been the butt of joke and objects of attacks. However, those who are cultured, they know that a monk has given up everything. A beggar doesn't give up his baking bowl. And here is a monk who has given up everything. You know that as a monk, I have no permanent residence. We say Belur Math, but we don't have any permanent residence. Sometimes in official documents, they ask, what's your permanent address? No permanent address, nothing. Wherever I am, I am. You'll be surprised to know that there was a time, it was partly my bad luck and part other problems. In 11 years, during a phase of my life, I had 10 different addresses just in 11 years. That means, on an average, every year I had to change my address, change my location, change my place of stay. Can you ever think like that? No security, nothing. Our headquarters says that you go there, move to that place, and you are all alone. Like, there are officers in Indian system who have to move houses, but that's a different case, and this is a different case. But here Swamiji is talking about sages. persons like Sri Ramakrishna. Even if you look at them, it has a purifying effect. If you have a picture of a saint in your house, say for Christians, Jesus, for Muslims, they have their own saints. For Hindus, now for Hindus, there is absolutely no dearth of great personalities. Sri Krishna, Sri Rama, Shiva, anyone, Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Vivekananda. Even if you just look at their picture, it will have a purifying effect on you. Holy Mother Sarda used to say that even if you just keep looking at the portrait of Sri Ramakrishna, picture of Sri Ramakrishna, your mind will become calm. That itself is a meditation. Stand up for God, let the world go, have no compromise, give up the world. Then alone you are loosened from the body. Problem is that me, the real me, is so deeply entranced, so deeply rooted in this body that both become one. If you might have seen an unripe mango, you will see that the skin, the pulp, and the seed, they all are just one. They are just one. Neither you can remove the skin nor can you have the seed out. But once it ripens, all the three become separate. Something similar happens in our life when we truly become spiritual. World, body, and Atman, soul. These three become three different and distinct entities. Right now for us, world, my body, and my soul. These three are totally one. They become one. Because you'll see that you're so deeply attached to your parents, to your kids, to your husband, to your wife. But they're the world. They're not you. And then there is your body. You say that I love spirituality. Nowadays, because of the popularity of Vedanta, everybody is thinking that he's Atman, and oh my God. You're not even able to separate yourself from the world. You shed buckets of water when someone dear to you dies. What exactly you are shedding tears for? For the world. You say that person was your father, that person was your mother, that person was your sister, brother, etc., whatever it was. But one simple analysis and you realize that that was external world. If that is your plight with the external world, do you really expect to be spiritual? No, it's not easy. It's not possible. No, it's not. When he dies, you are azad. Only when you have succeeded in differentiating these three. When the world, the body, and soul, these three have become distinct entities. Once you die, the soul is freed. The fruit has to ripen. When he dies, you are azad, free. Be free. Death alone can never free us. Till your identification with the body and the world continues, you are like that unripe mango. You'll continue to move from basket to basket. You can never be freed. Death never frees you. Freedom must be attained by our own efforts during life. Then, when the body falls, there will be no rebirth or for the free. It's obvious. If you want freedom, you have to have knowledge. And due to that knowledge, these three, the world, body, and the soul, they become distinct entities. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that when a coconut ripens, if you shake it, you can clearly hear the sound. Just like that. Once you have attained knowledge, soul and body, they become separate completely. Truth is to be judged by truth and by nothing else. Doing good is not the test of truth. You see, there's a problem with religions that lay too much of stress on ethics, let's say Christian ethics. Ethics belongs to the realm of mind. Doing good belongs to the realm of mind. That cannot be the test. Spirituality doesn't mean doing good. But if you are into doing good, your mind becomes purer. Your mind is now full of sattva. It becomes easy for you to be spiritual. There it ends. The sun needs no torch by which to see it. Spirituality is spirituality. There cannot be any test for it. Even if truth destroys the whole universe, still is truth. Stand by it. So Swamiji says, practicing the concrete forms of religion is easy and attracts the masses. So it has been my good fortune to visit Haridwar many times. And there was a time when I used to visit Haridwar every year. And whenever I visit Haridwar, I make sure to go to Har Ki Paidi, that main Haridwar, the place. And in whatever season, whatever month, whatever time you go, you'll find thousands and thousands. And if it's a special occasion, there will be lakhs, hundreds of thousands of people. And most of these people are associated with this ashram, that Babaji, like that. And if you instruct them to practice this, practice that, they love it. One of the favorite things that these preachers will say, in future, don't take non-veg food. Now that's something they understand. I once met one gentleman, and we had gone to serve some villagers. It was a medical tour, and they gave us some snacks like tea and biscuits and some bananas, and we were sharing it. And one gentleman said, I don't take bananas. I said, any health issues? Said, no, I had visited my guru, and he asked me to sacrifice something, and I said banana. So he has sacrificed banana in the name of guru. And so he doesn't take banana. I just laughed out. This is the whole of religion. Anyway, see, at least he's giving up something, no doubt. As far as giving up is concerned, that's good. But that's the external of religion. It doesn't take you far. It indeed makes you move, because society will say, oh, what a wonderful person, he has given up banana. But that's not whole of religion. This is what Swamiji says. Practicing the concrete forms of religion is easy and attracts the masses, but really there is nothing in the external. Sri Ramakrishna says beautifully about Bhavanath. Bhavanath had at some point of time given up taking betel leaves, pan, and fish. And Sri Ramakrishna says, if he has given up fish and pan, how does it matter? The real thing is to give up Kamini and Kanchan. The two fundamental forces of the world that make our body go. If you think of this world as an ocean and yourself as a boat that's being propelled, the boat is propelled by the forces of Kamini and Kanchan. That's how we move in the world. Take away those propelling forces, the boat will stop. Swamiji concludes with, as the spider throws her web out of herself and draws it in, even so this universe is thrown out and drawn in by God. The universe has no existence of its own. It's God who throws out the universe. The example used in Mundak Upanishad is spider throwing out its web and then withdrawing it. Know this truth, realize this truth, and focus on God. Once you decide to give everything up for God, once you decide to serve God, you will be one of the saviors of religion. That's it. Thank you so much. So next day we begin what Swamiji had to say on the last day of his stay at the Thousand Island Park.